Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Naomi and I'm a Global UGRAD from the 2016-2017 cohort. Today's video is going to be about my experience in the US as a non-native English speaker. And if you like watching videos like this, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. To give you a bit of my background, I'm from Malaysia, where our official language is Bahasa Malaysia, also known as Malay. However, I grew up speaking English in my household, so I'm fluent, but I'm not considered a native English speaker per se. Knowing that most of you soon-to-be exchange students would be coming from non-native English-speaking countries, and you have your concerns regarding your language proficiency, this video is going to give you an insight on what to expect when you're in the US on your exchange program. I have a very special guest joining me in this video today. He is my very good friend and a non-native English speaker himself, and he's here to share his experience with you all. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Airat. I'm from Russia, from Kazan, and I was a 2016-2017 Global UGRAD finalist, and I was at Western Washington University in Bellingham, the state of Washington.
Well, thank you, Airat, for being in this video with me. As you know, we are going to talk about our experiences as non-native English speakers in the US. So my native language is Malay and also Chinese, but I grew up in a household which speaks mainly English. So although I'm considered as like a non-native English speaker, I'm quite used to the language.
Technically.
Yeah. So what about you? What's your background with the language?
I'm a non-native speaker of English, and actually my whole story of this English language proficiency is quite typical for my generation. Yeah, so I started learning English probably in middle school, not even in elementary school, because this elementary school or even kindergarten level English was not a thing at all back in the days. The turning point was high school, pretty much, where I started to take classes seriously and even go the extra mile with such things as English clubs, discussions, local English language events, talking to foreigners and also like native English speakers and so on. And yeah, that helped me a lot in learning English and mastering it.
What made you interested in even going the extra mile to learn English?
My parents decided to change my school. The school was completely different. The profile was mainly economics and also foreign languages. So I studied English and Turkish at the same time. So yeah, that was like this turning point that I was talking about. But what made me get into the English club is probably my just desire for English, because I really was interested in foreign countries, in foreign cultures.
You know, when I visited Russia, there's actually a lot of people who still don't really speak English, or their comprehension is like very little. So it's very interesting that you actually found the interest and just decided to learn it. So what level do you think you're at? Because usually with language learning there's always levels. Actually, I don't even know where to place myself.
Before actually starting talking about levels yet, I have to mention that I'm graduate of teaching and foreign language teaching department of my university. There is a scale that a lot of specialists and experts use to distinguish those levels. The most common probably is the CEFR, Common European Framework of Reference. I think that's what it's called. According to that framework, I think I'm at C1, which stands for advanced. Probably that's more than enough to to talk to people and probably get in many different social situations and support and get into the conversation of pretty much any topic.
So I can tell that you're very comfortable with the English language now, but how was it like before going on the exchange program? Were you just as comfortable? Were you confident that when you go to the US people are going to understand you, or were you nervous about it? How do you feel about that?
I have to say that I graduated from school with a strong B2 level, which is like the upper intermediate level, right? And consequently I went on to reach like a C1 level at the university. I would lie if I said that I was nervous and anxious about the language, but of course there was like a lot of room for improvement. My level at the time allowed me to stay calm and just accept the fact that you should and you will learn new words, new phrases. So that's exactly what I came for initially when I applied for the program. So in my case, it wasn't much of an issue.
we had orientation for the program where they will prep us before we fly off. People will be asking about language and how they'll deal with it because they have to speak English like almost 100% of the time. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't too nervous about it because I was pretty confident that the Americans at least can understand me. I have a question. So you don't really sound Russian, like there's no Russian accent when you speak English. How do you make like
But
a
I mean,
conscious
I can
effort
have
to-
if I want to.
Do you want a demo?
Next time.
So how did you like make a conscious effort? Was it difficult to adopt maybe more American accent?
It's more about practice. You can't just learn the pronunciation, you have to practice. In my case, yeah, when people were asking me, oh, Airat, what was like the solution to that typical problem of Russian learners of English? And in my case, that was singing along the songs that I used to enjoy and I still enjoy. And the thing is here is that you subconsciously train your pronunciation. You try to keep up with the pace of the song, you try to understand the lyrics, and even sometimes copy the accent of the singer that you really admire. So in my case, that worked pretty well. It's also about different public speeches. I usually recommend Barack Obama's speeches for my students because his language, his pronunciation is classic, clear, and usually easy to understand. Even if you take Donald Trump, for example, no political issue here. We're talking about the language side. His speech is less comprehensible to English language learners, especially elementary, pre-intermediate English language learners. I wanted to, give some like a piece of advice to those, applying for the program. You shouldn't really worry about your language skills. If you were accepted for the program, if your TOEFL is at least 80, it's more than enough for you to maintain, to keep up with the pace of the lectures you're going to attend at the university, and simply to talk to people. Just enjoy this time. In fact, it took me a month just to fully adapt to this whole English-speaking community. It will take probably even more time for you, or even less, who knows. Just give yourself time and enjoy.
I totally agree. I get many questions from applicants about their TOEFL scores, and the minimum is actually 45, just 45 for TOEFL IBT.
Oh, wow.
And that's actually really low. So
Yeah, it's really.
I actually agree with you. If you're at least 80, you will pretty much sail through the experience because you'll be able to understand your peers and also the lecturers. But maybe if you're at like a 45 to like 60, I think there are English courses that World Learning will send them for. So
Yeah,
maybe there's slightly a bit more challenge, but it's not impossible. And it doesn't mean that if you have a low score, it will affect their selection process. So once you arrived in the USA for the first week or even the first month, how was it like for you? Was it nerve-wracking or like were you stressed about it? When we are in our country going there, we are like, okay, we can do this. We're very confident that people are going to understand us. But when we're actually in the US, things might be different.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, back to 2017. The first month was like the adaptation month. I had to adapt to, the new people, the new community, the new time zone. To get straight to the question, the overall experience was just fantastic, I have to say. I really enjoyed pretty much everything, and I wish I could have the same experience once again. Of course, yeah, there is nothing ideal. Yeah, I don't want to put it, like in this picture of everything is so cool. Oh, you have to do this and that. Yet I can't remember any negative experience. Like even the first month, people might laugh a little bit, but when I just came back from the lectures and I was like in the dorm, my tongue was physically tired at the end of the day because I had to speak English 24/7. And that was like some interesting experience to observe as well. Was I lucky to have that kind of experience? Might be. And are you sure there was nothing negative that was worth mentioning? If you ask me that question, I guess so. And I'm trying to remember positive stuff mostly. Well, the only thing I can remember in terms of negativity was paper writing. Yeah, that's like making every student get nervous and jacked up. So yeah, but for me it was in fact pleasant to work on, because the paper writing experience in Russian universities is slightly different. The communication between you as a student and the professor is absolutely different. Like the whole culture, academic culture, is just different. It's not better, it's not worse, just different. So as you get in touch with native English speakers, you tend to learn those phrases that you would not normally encounter in your textbooks or like school lessons. So I had to be ready to guess the meanings of those phrases or words on the go and learn them. Sometimes I had to just open my notes app and just write them down, which took some time, but again, that's what I came for. That was my experience.
So from my experience at least, I was speaking English just as much as usual, but my challenge was to speak slower and to speak with a clearer pronunciation. So like, say my roommates or my classmates, they know that I'm speaking
Right.
English, but sometimes it's harder for them to catch because I tend to speak very fast and I don't have an American accent. Certain words, I have to Americanize it just for them to understand me better. Like, I usually say water, but they are like water. So I was so tired. At least for like the first week to a month, my brain, it's constantly working to make sure that I have to pronounce clearly. Dude, I've never felt so mentally tired in my entire life just from speaking a language.
Yeah, this filter thing actually takes a lot of energy and effort. That's why you get so tired. I was physically tired, you were mentally tired, so it was natural. It was okay.
And I kind of like misjudged you upon first impression because I didn't know like you were jet lagged and you were tired. And I guess also from like speaking English all the time, and you had that typical glum Russian look. So I'm like, wow, this guy is so unfriendly.
Exactly. Well, you can escape Russia, but Russia cannot escape from you. I was fighting with the idea that I might include like British English because I was initially taught British English. In fact, I really enjoy like the American variant more. But though it might just get into the conversation, into my speech, so I was fighting against that. And of course, I was fighting with this small but like slight Russian accent too.
These are like the little things that people don't think about when it comes to non-native speakers.
Right.
It's good that we're having this conversation because those that are going for the program, they are non-native English speakers and this is what they can expect. Do you have any feedback or like funny encounters with fellow Americans? Like for example, when I first met my roommate, she was nervous about meeting me because she wasn't sure if I'm able to speak English. Like maybe I can't even speak English. When we met, she looked at me as if I'm like an animal at the zoo. Like I'm an exhibit, right? So she just like hoping that I can speak English until I introduced myself in English, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, hallelujah, she can speak English."
Thanks God, yeah. You shouldn't struggle much.
Do you have any like these similar experiences maybe?
Well, my roommate found me on Facebook, but the thing
before
is,
you even went
Facebook
there?
isn't right.
Wow.
He found me, and the thing is, Facebook isn't as popular in Russia as the local version, which is VK, Vkontakte. I wasn't really just keeping my personal page updated that often. So it was just an old photo, which was 4 years old. But yeah, he found out that I was from Russia, and that's it. He didn't tell anything because he wasn't a talkative type. I remember
so he
when
just
I came.
added you and he didn't say anything?
He found me on Facebook, but he didn't add me. He just found
But
me.
how did you know that he found you?
He told me that. I just found you on Facebook, and I found out that you're from Russia. I was like, yeah, okay.
I didn't have too much feedback. It's just mostly acquaintances saying that they're surprised that I can even speak English or speak English fluently.
Well, my reception was slightly different though. I thought Americans don't really get surprised by your ability to speak English, but the way you sound may affect how you're perceived. Well, in my case, I had to work on my accent and to get rid of not only the accent, I would say the Russian language exposure. And personally, the most precious probably feedback that I've ever got was that nobody could guess exactly the country I was from. And there was only one guy, I remember, that was like a close call, by the way, who assumed that I was from Poland. Yeah, and Poland and Russia are, like, in terms of language, are quite close. Not similar, but yeah, close. And what I wanted to say by that is you shouldn't worry about your language skills, your accent. In fact, your accent makes you unique.
Yes, I totally agree.
And Americans, in fact, usually respect those, making a lot of effort trying to learn a new language. So if we put this whole situation into a carrot and stick system, think of the carrot side, not the stick one, because nobody is going to punish you for the lack of a language. Just keep working on your language abilities and eventually you'll get what you want and what you deserve.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, having different accents, although we want to try to learn a more American accent, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that we have to completely eliminate what we already have, because that brings flavor to the language itself. Plus, I think it's something very different for the Americans themselves, because they are hearing their language with a twist.
Right.
So I think that's really
It's
cool.
like, having the same sweet in different wrappings. So that's like just the comparison. As I've seen on those like comedy shows, this thick Russian accent is like imagined as like the protection from those bad situations. So if you immediately start talking with this accent, so you will be safe and sound.
I'm not sure if you remember this, but remember during our trip in Seattle, like both of us, we were just walking in downtown, and there was this like homeless man that was trying to approach us for money, and I kept saying no, and then I just walked, but you just turned on your Russian English accent, and he just backed off.
Yeah, but I mean, I just used it just to give him this the understanding that I don't speak fluently. Whatever, just get off.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you, something like that.
To instill fear.
Yeah, the Russian mafia will do that. Okay, jokes aside. Yeah, as I've said, Americans are usually trying just to talk to you, to get to know you, your personality, and if you talk comprehensible English, that's more than enough.
So did you notice any changes, like maybe an improvement, or like what did you bring back from the US, and how was your whole situation like with the language once you're back?
What I gained for myself was this exposure that I got. In fact, looking back at the whole Global UGRAD experience, I can definitely say that I had improved in some aspects. Well, first of all, it's of course the language skills. What's interesting though is when I flew back home, it was much more convenient, to speak English, to think English than Russian.
Oh wow.
Well, in my case. And yeah, but then of course, as I started to speak Russian more and more and more on a daily basis, and yeah, I switched back and I lost that exposure effect. I'm calling it that way. You can't do anything about it. You have to accept it as a matter of fact and just try to maintain your skills. Now we have the internet and it's a global network, so use it. If you have some native English speakers in your area, try to contact them.
Yeah, especially if language it's something that has to be kept up consistently. Like you have to practice, you have to have input and output if possible, because you just need
I
to
usually I usually compare learning English and learning foreign languages to going to the gym. If you stop going to the gym, you will eventually regress. So that's exactly what it is.
I love your metaphors. I was just thinking that.
Okay.
We have come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for joining me on this video call to share your experiences as a non-native English speaker that has been on the same exchange program as me and potentially the applicants that are watching right now. Do you have any final words of wisdom to share?
Words of wisdom. Yeah, sounds so profound, so classy. Well, first of all, thank you, Naomi, I appreciate for having me in your video, of course, and thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you found it useful in some way. And of course, if you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to write to us, don't hesitate to leave them in the section below, and I will try to answer them, or Naomi will probably answer, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and also good luck with your applications. I hope that will be a life-changing experience for you, and you will have the same positive experience like we did, right?
And that's all for this video. I hope you guys gained some really good insights on what to expect as a non-native English speaker when you're in the US. There's generally nothing much for you to worry about once you're in the US. Just speak English, whether it's broken or not, just wing it, you know, that's how you learn, and you'll be just fine. Thank you for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up to show your support, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this one.